What's up? Welcome to another edition of Chat It Up Sports. Really, it's the Word with G because I'm Greg Larnard, host of the Word with G under the Chat It Up Sports umbrella. If you want to follow us on social media, make sure you follow us everywhere on all social media platforms because we want to meet you wherever you are at Chat It Up Sports. You want to follow along with the podcast, listen to the podcast anytime, any place, anywhere. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like all those good things all over those podcast apps, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts. And of course, subscribe on YouTube. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for another edition of Mocs Softball Weekly, right here on the Word with G under the Chatted Up Sports umbrella. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there this past weekend. I did have a wedding to attend, very important one. Was the best man at my brother's wedding. So an excused absence of sorts for yours truly, but in my absence with the softball team this past weekend, they made some real hay. The team went 4-0, getting back to the winning ways and evened up the record overall at 7-7. Before we've got a midweek game this upcoming week on Wednesday against Jacksonville State, and then we head to Gardner Webb this weekend. So a lot to get into with the team, the personnel. There's no better person to do it with than the head coach in his 24th season, the Hall of Famer, the whole thing, head coach, Mr. Frank Reed. Coach, good morning. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you miss me this past weekend?
Well, we took a thumbs up or down vote, and I think it was about 50-50 where we missed you. So, you know how I am about making changes. We don't change a lot if we're winning. So maybe we can send you off on another wedding again. Just kidding.
Yeah,
you always try to find a sequence, and we're trying to, I'm sure we missed you. I was busy on the other end of the dugout, so.
Yeah, that's true. You and I don't really interact much during the games just because we're on opposite ends of the dugout, and then you're coaching third, obviously, and then I'm, talking to the hitters and all that good stuff. So I'm really glad to have we had a successful weekend. I was getting live updates as the games were going on. Chuck Snell kept me incredibly updated with everything going on. So I was very, very appreciative of Chuck for doing that. But just want to get your overall thoughts. 4-0. I know, we didn't win the games in the way that maybe we anticipated them or hoped to win. But as I always say, win is a win is a win. So give me your overall thoughts on the weekend, just as a whole, getting the 4 wins and then still having some room for improvement.
Well, one thing about that is, we're trying to get the wins, but we're also trying to still experiment with the lineup a little bit. So we haven't really settled in on the lineup or how we would approach individual games. So, trying to find that out and getting some people in play and then still being able to win games is a plus for us. And so, we're still trying to find a way. I'm stressing that, we're not last year's team, so we got to find ourselves. And we're making progress, maybe a little slower than I would like, but all in all, you got to be happy with 4 wins. Got to be happy with the fact we were at home. The weather didn't cooperate as much on Friday. We lost Friday, but we got an extra game back in on Sunday. Sunday afternoon was the late game was a perfect game, but the other games were a little cold. This sport's not designed to be played when it's that cold, but we were able to get through it. Hopefully, we will see better weather moving forward. It's going to be a busy next 2 weeks. Like you mentioned, we got a midweek, and then we got term Gardner Webb. Then we got another midweek, and then we're down in Madeira Beach for 5 days. And so we're going to be pretty busy, and we're going to be pretty tired, I guess, when we come home. But hopefully that's going to be a great experience, a learning experience for us to be able to not only solidify, our everyday lineup, but to be able to see some young people to grow and get better.
Yeah, and then we talked about that off the air, getting an opportunity and really trying to grasp that opportunity. And somebody who's done that so far over the last couple of weekends when she's been given an opportunity has been Lexi Cooley. Heard she made an incredible catch in right field and had a couple of hits in that last game and did some things to help the team get on base and other things along those lines. So talk to me a little bit about her and her really, lately here grasping that opportunity in the outfield.
Yeah, we're still looking for 2 outfielders, so just trying to figure out how that works out. Played a lot of people out there, giving them opportunities, maybe not as much as some of them would have liked. But And we told them opportunities come in the fall and in the early spring. So we're still trying to see that. Hesitant about bragging on anybody on our team too much because as I do, it seems like that's always the jinx. But she is making some progress out there. She did some positive things that we like to see. Uh, so it's sort of helping try to figure out how we replace Addie Keelan out there. Addie was a mainstay out there for 4 years, and so she was been a hard one to replace. Just the way she read the ball out there, strength of her arm, and just the power numbers that she brought to us. So it's a hard position to fill. It's like it's trying to trying to the next coach that comes in after Nick Saban. So I call Addie my Nick Saban of right field. So
wow,
you got to try to replace that, and it's living up to those standards are pretty tough.
That is quite the compliment to Addie Keelan. I'm gonna have to tell her you said that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the pitching really quickly because it was nice to see Peja sort of get back to the way that we know she can pitch. And I know she struggled a little bit early on in that Lamar game, gave up 4 runs in that game, but struck out 9, really battled and helped us stay in that game to eventually come back and win it. And then in the last game against SEMO, threw up a bunch of zeros, struck out 8. Talk about Piha a little bit and just her getting back to what we're more used to seeing out of her this past weekend.
Yeah, all of our pitchers are trying to find their way a little bit. That's one thing that we've talked about, not only individually but with them as a group. How much we're counting on them, and I think maybe we've put a little too much pressure on them. I think sometimes as a team we live or die. I'm thinking not just us, but people live or die by their pitching. Their pitching's throwing well, everything's cooking. Now the hitting comes along, defense is playing well, and probably not putting a lot of balls in play, and so everybody's all feeling good about themselves. And as our pitchers have struggled, I think it's been a sort of rude awakening for us on defense and offense that those people have to step up and play behind our pitching staff that maybe have days of struggle. Good thing for us, all of them have got a number of innings to be able to try to figure it out. But Peja did well this weekend, and had a great game against SEMO. And I think I don't remember how many hits, but 0 runs, and we were able to stay in the game. Our kids felt confident about that, and they were able to put that late run on the board and hold them in the last inning. So it was a quality win for us.
Again, a win is a win is a win. Yeah, good to have Peja getting back to what we're normally used to seeing out of her. One thing that I noticed, just kind of going back and looking at the box scores and kind of, again, listening to what Chuck Snell had said to me, when we were texting a little bit and he was keeping me updated during the games, was it seemed like every single time we got punched, we seemed to punch back. And that was something that we hadn't done in previous weekends where we haven't had that punch back. We continue to get punched, but we haven't punched back. And I even said it in the group chat after one of the days that, hey, there's no quit. Doesn't seem like there's any quit in this group. Talk to me a little bit about that lack of quit and the lack of fight that you saw this weekend. Every single time it seemed like we got hit, we were able to come back and punch back. And again, that kind of helps when you get 4 wins too.
Honestly, you give credit to the upperclassmen and the people that came before this group. That's always been sort of the MO for our group, for our teams, my teams, as they've just always had that fight. Sometimes you get knocked down and you got to get up, and sometimes you get knocked down and it tastes bad, and you got to a few days before you can get back up and regroup yourself. But this script is doing that, and that's going. I think that's going to pay off down the long haul when we get into conference play to be able to go in. It's hard to be going to anybody's place, play them 3 games at their place and win 3 games. Beat somebody 3 times in a row, and so it should be the same thing for us at home. So yeah, that fight that we have is I think is something that give past groups credit, that each group has instilled that into our upper class kids, and they've brought it along. Hopefully that's a trait that we'll continue to have for years.
All right, I know we've talked a lot about these two players over the last couple of weeks because it seems like they've alternated having really good weeks, but it all kind of came together for both of them this past weekend at the same time where they both had big weekends. Olivia LePerry and then Aislinn Sellers as well. They seem to really help in carrying that offense in the middle of the order. They've continued to be big. Just talk about the consistency of them and how important it was to have both of them going at the same time, especially when we're still looking to kind of fill some holes within the roster and, trying different pieces.
Yeah, they're in the roster spots for a reason. They're obviously there to drive in some runs, get some RBIs. You look at their stats, you're seeing they're doing that. And kudos to both of those players for being able to step up in those crucial situations. It puts a lot of pressure on them to know, hey, here I am. I've got runners in scoring position. I need to get a hit. I need to drive something in the gap. I need to do situational hitting, but it never hurts when there's situational hitting as a home run. So we got a few of those for both of them this weekend. That's always a plus, and always pumps your team up, puts you in a point where hey, let's go get some more. But credit to both of those for their leadership and for the things that they've been doing. You hate to put that much pressure on just a couple of players, but they signed up for that, and I think that they would want to be in that position. They would not want to delegate that opportunity over to somebody else. So just keep everyone keep pushing, and hopefully they'll just continue to get better. They're going to have days where this is sport. They have days where they may not be as successful, but they need to be somewhat successful even on a bad day, so that we have opportunities to drive in our people in the 1 and 2 hole.
All right, let me ask you a little bit about our team overall. What do you think the biggest strength is that we possess as a team right now, in your estimation?
Well, I would told you at the beginning of the year that our mound is our pitching staff is where our strength is, and we have to build our offense around them. We go in the first weekend, we get 340 for the weekend, so I'm starting to think, well, maybe our offense is not as slow coming along as I anticipated. So we're going to get there, and then we don't hit it as well the next weekend and pitch it a little bit better. So it's got to get both of those on the same page. And I definitely don't think it's defense, just simply because we've not set a defensive lineup. So, we're moving people around. We lost Zoe Wright, our second baseman, to an injury. I'm sure she'll be back in a day or so. She won't travel this week, or tomorrow. But just finding that person you can put there, being more than just 9 deep or 10 deep or 11 deep. We have to be able to do that. So, but our strength, you asked about our strength. I would have told you pitching. Now I'm telling you that hitting is coming along. So it's sort of even, but it's like any team. I think teams thrive off of their pitching staff. So pitching staff goes in 1, 2, 3. Throw, just say for instance, they go in and throw 3 pitches, get 3 outs. Man, we're ready. Let's go hit some softballs. Let's go score some runs. So now I still feel like they're starting to complement each other a little bit. Are they both where they need to be? I don't think so, but we're getting close.
And that's all we can ask. Hey, look, if we can find our footing by the time it comes to conference, I know you always talk about it. Like that's when the season really starts, and that's when we want to be kind of, hey, hitting our stride a little bit. I know you say, hey, we want to be peaking towards the end when we're going into the conference tournament, but we really want to find our way here through these early season tournaments and have something a little bit more set going into the conference play. Now, you mentioned the defensive depth and the depth that we have there a little bit. Bailey Pitt's got an opportunity. Obviously, she was sort of taken out of the outfield, and we've tried some better defensive players in the outfield, and she's sort of been relegated to an opportunity to DP or pinch hit, and she came up and got some good big pinch hits this past weekend, which I think was great for her. Really proud to see that out of her. But she also got to start behind the plate on Sunday. Talk to me a little bit about what you thought about getting her back behind the plate and her ability to sort of stay ready, even though she's kind of lost her starting spot to a certain degree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that she would technically say she lost her spot. We were strong in that depth-wise in the catching area, and so we asked her last year to go to the outfield, and she said yes. Now, is she going to be your AAA outfielder? Probably not. But she worked to get better, and we were able to work her in with some defensive changes. to get her in and out and still give her a time to bat. So she's in the lineup for her stick. She understands that. So then as we tried to strengthen the outfielder, so we sort of pulled her away from the catching spot a little bit. She came in as a catcher, third baseman catcher, top player. We considered her a catcher. And so, but we had Jace, and then brought a freshman in to be a Leone. And so she sort of got delegated back to that DP role. Mia had caught the game before, I think, and Jace was had little things going on with her that we didn't feel like it was beneficial for her to have her going into the lineup. So I asked Bailey if she felt like she could go there. And she can, and she did a good job. She says it's like riding a bicycle. And I remember talking to her after the game. I said, you look good. You look good back there. And she said, it's just like riding a bicycle. So she said, you don't forget how to do it. And framing pitches, some of the little things that you see out of catchers that catch every day that, you think, well, she's been rusty and she may be a little lazy. Not lazy, but just not as sharp. But she did it, and she did a great job. So we were excited for her to be able to get that opportunity to show us that, she can give us that opportunity to pound the plate if we need her.
Now, you mentioned, her saying that it was like riding a bike and kind of picking that back up. What is something in your life that you think that you haven't done in a really long time that would be like riding a bike for you?
Oh, that's tough. I guess I don't know. I used to ride a lot of motorcycles. So
really,
yeah, it's not like riding a bike. I guess that's what comes to my mind. I used to have a cruiser that I'd get out and ride. It's I really need one now. I mean, it's a great stress reliever if you've never ridden one on just any kind of distance, and just get out on the highway or the back. I don't like the highway, but the back roads, and just cruise through the mountains or wherever, and just have that time to just reflect. And you become a better driver and vehicle driver, and you just enjoy spending on that bike. I'm about to talk myself into going out and buying another one, but my wife probably wouldn't. I haven't done it in a while. I sold my bike because I spend so much time doing this.
Yeah.
And if you're going to enjoy bikes, you go out on the weekend when it's pretty. Well, last weekend was pretty nice. So, but I didn't have a bike to get on. And so it's even going to get nicer when spring comes, which maybe I could jump back on one. But I haven't done it in a while. But it's all of it comes back to you once you get on. But I would encourage everybody that hadn't had an opportunity to really ride one and just enjoy the experience. It's just such a stress reliever. And you come back so refreshed and mentally strong. I think but it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
The world we live in now, people going down the road trying to text. I saw a lady who was my last time I rode it. She was texting. She was trying to eat breakfast. She was fixing her hair at the same time as she was driving. So, I try to get away from that vehicle so I wouldn't get involved. But, so many people are distracted, so it ends up causing bad situations. So I don't know if I'd ever get another one, but it'd be fun to get out for a time or two.
All right, my last softball question before I have another fun one for you is going into this week where we've got a midweek. It's our first midweek, and we'll be going to Jacksonville State, and then obviously we're traveling to Gardner-Webb this upcoming weekend. What are some things that you want to see out of our group and our girls to improve upon from previous weeks? What are some things that you want to see improve a little bit as we move into this week with a midweek and then traveling for another tournament?
Just the things that we talked about earlier, with our pitching staff, just to be consistent, being able, if you're a starter, give us some quality innings. Hopefully we can go the distance. We got to get used to doing that. If you're coming in as a reliever, being able to come in and attack the batter and let them know you're in control because you've come in that situation. And offensively, being able to put the ball in play early, make things happen, make them make defensive mistakes. And then on the defensive side, obviously we want our pitchers to do well. The better our pitchers do, the less balls we get hit. So, but also make sure that we're focused on situational things where, double play balls, cuts, those types of things will be sharp there. And I guess basically I've talked about the entire game, but, just, and I don't doubt that we won't come ready. It's just sometimes we're more ready, I think, than we are at times. So just that consistency, because it's going to be a long 2 weeks, and we got to have some time to recruit. But it's going to taste a lot better when we get off the bus March 10th or 11th, whenever we show back up to after our Madeira trip. It's going to taste a lot better. The trip's going to be a lot better. Everything's going to be good if we've gotten some quality wins and we play good softball, because we know we've got to start in the conference play.
That would be good. And we start with UNCG. So obviously, hitting it hot and heavy right off the bat to open up conference play at Frost Stadium. But we got a couple of weeks until we get there. Obviously, we'll touch on that when we get there. But my last question for you, Coach, I always like to kind of end on a fun one, is obviously this is your 24th year. You were at Chattanooga State before this coaching softball. And I know you worked for the city and did those things before you were really coaching college softball. But if you weren't coaching collegiate softball, what do you think you would have been doing for the last 24 years?
I'd probably be, professional-wise, I'd probably be maybe an attorney, maybe in politics.
An attorney or into politics, like a city official or a state official or something like that?
Maybe even president. You never know.
Hey, never know.
I was actually vice mayor in my city of East Ridge for 5 years, I think. I've served out there for 5 years as public works commissioner, and I was vice mayor for a term. So it's sort of in my blood. I think a lot of what we do here is sort of the same thing. You're helping people. You're helping young people be able to fulfill their lifelong dream of softball and education. And I think, in essence, maybe some people don't look at it the same way, but politics are just a lot like that. How do you make your community stronger? How do you get involved in, and have a place when people drive into your town that or your city or your state where they say, man, this is pretty cool. The people who've been in charge here have done a really, really nice job. And so making this a better place to live. And it's sort of a giving back thing. The attorney part's the same thing, just help people try to navigate their way through life and circumstances which maybe befall them, and try to make them better.
Frank Reed, the head softball coach for the UTC Mocs. Don't forget, before we leave, just want to remind y'all, follow us all over social media at Chat It Up Sports. And, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, follow us there as well. We've got, as I mentioned, a midweek game this week, and then we go to Boiling Springs, North Carolina at Gardner-Webb this weekend. The game on Wednesday at Jacksonville State will be at 6 o'clock. And from what I'm seeing on our schedule, it will be broadcast live on ESPN+. So if you're not able to travel down to Jacksonville, Alabama, you can watch that game on ESPN+. Then this weekend, we've got IU Indy again at 10 a.m. to start things off on Friday. And then at 12:30, Stony Brook. And then Saturday, 10 a.m., Stony Brook. 3 p.m. Gardner-Webb, and then a single game on Sunday at 12:30 against the host Gardner-Webb as well. Coach, it's been great to chop it up with you, as we always get a chance to here on a Tuesday. Thanks for taking the time out, and we will see you out at practice this afternoon.
Thanks. It's good spending time with you.